Welcome to my second Wordy Wristlet video workshop where I will show you how I turn ordinary supplies that I have on hand into some fun bracelets. So first off, I'm going to show you how I fabric wrap a thrift store bangle. For my wild bracelet you saw in the thumbnail, I used a technique I call snip and rip. I snip a strip of fabric and I just rip it down the grain of the cotton fabric. You can also iron each edge of the fabric to make it more like a bias tape if you don't want those raw edges. I decided to iron the edges and then I snip the edge I'm going to start gluing to my bangle at an angle. I'm using weld bond glue. You can use any type of tacky glue, and I'm brushing just a small section of the inside of the bangle with the glue. And as I wrap, I'm making sure to drag that fabric back towards me so that I don't drag it through the glue. You can change out your fabric strips for a pretty patchwork boho look, or you can keep that same fabric throughout, just gluing off the edges on the underneath side of your bracelet. When I reach the starting point, I just overlap it a bit, cut the fabric at an angle, and glue it to the underside. Now this bracelet, I'm going to show you how I do my wire wrapping. This bracelet was a raw edge, snip and rip, and I used some leopard print fabric. Now I'm taking it might be 24 or 26 gauge wire. It's just something I had on hand. You want the wire to be very thin and flexible, easy to wrap. I'm twisting off the end but leaving a tail so that I can finish that when I come back around. I've twisted it and gone now in a horizontal direction so I can add the letter beads, because the hole on a lettering bead is usually a horizontal position. This bracelet was wrapped using a zip tie, which you can search out my original video and see how I fabric wrap a zip tie. I will add a link to that video in the description. Now that I have strung the word across in a horizontal position, I'm going to go back and wrap the wire around the bracelet between each of the letters. This will help to keep the letters aligned. When I reach the end of that section, I'm just slipping that wire through my last loop and pulling it through just for added security to keep everything in its place. Now I will just move around the bracelet, adding 1 or 2 beads, a charm. I like to mix it up, not worry about counting or making it symmetrical, and I will continue to wrap all the way around the bracelet, adding my embellishments. This little sun bead I'm adding also has that horizontal opening in the holes, so that's why I'm tucking it back through the last loop so that it goes through at a horizontal angle. Then I will continue to wrap around the bracelet using my beads. As I finish a section of my bracelet, I like to use my flat nose pliers and press down on the wire, just making sure everything is secure and in place so that putting it on and taking it off, it just won't jostle things around. I've wrapped the bracelet with beads now, and I'm back to where I started. I ended up with two loose ends, so I decided to add a charm and then a bead and a charm, and then I bend the wire back up and twist it around and snip off that end so I have no loose ends on my bracelet. Then I use my flat nose plier to secure that end, flatten it out so there's no pokey wires as I wear my bracelet. I'm taking care of my last end of wire, adding another bead and charm, and wire wrapping it across the top of the charm and snipping it off. As you can see, I don't worry too much about symmetry or wrapping evenly, perfectly even. I just have fun with it, add some fun charms, beads, bangles, and add it to my collection of Wordy wristlets. I'd like to thank you for watching and encourage you to try one of these fun Wordy wristlets. Happy creating!